Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston and welcome to The Interesting Times, which is a show that likes to take a sideways swipe at politics right here in the UK. We are off this week, but I thought I would just put a short video together to commemorate a possible breakthrough in getting a Brexit deal for Northern Ireland. So the EU has moved considerably on this matter. Why now? Well, when those on the EU side started talking, a theme started to appear.
The European Commission President spoke warmly of Rishi Sunak's honesty, focus and determination, not words you'd probably catch her using of Boris Johnson.
It's a very senior member of the Macron administration there who expressed the view, and I've never heard this expressed, of a British Prime Minister. This person said to me, "We simply do not trust Boris Johnson. We think he is a liar."
Do you regret saying you loathed him?
Look, we didn't like each other, Boris Johnson. No, we didn't get on. That's the long and the short of it.
But often he'll adopt causes to get himself to the top that I don't agree with, including Brexit.
Jeffrey Donaldson and the DUP need to recognise that they're playing a dangerous game by placing their trust in Boris Johnson. They tried that already and he let them down.
And if Northern Ireland is a winner in these negotiations, then Boris Johnson certainly has to be the loser. A man who wanted to use the struggles that the people have had in not having a functioning government in the last 10 months to bolster his own chances of getting back into number 10. And clearly, if necessary, realising the tensions that led to the troubles. I mean, why not? He's doing the same as he's done in Ukraine, although this time trying to get Jeffrey Donaldson to slip on the khaki uniform and black boots for a photo op. Still, at least he can rely on his sister for support.
Led the vote leave, won a majority on the back of saying he would get Brexit done, and now Rishi's trying to steal his clothes. Anyway.
The bit about do constituents care about it, I spent yesterday morning touring the streets of East Northamptonshire, and actually only one person brought up the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Of course, we're right in the middle of a cost of living crisis. It's just like people in Belfast couldn't give a crap about people in north, south, easterly, westerly, inner, outer, shake it all about a Hampstead. But that doesn't mean people in both places aren't important. There is, though, a lot of confusion about this agreement. For instance, here is Sammy Wilson of the DUP looking more and more like a divorced dad trying to get access to his kids, complaining that the new protocol gives the European Court of Justice, ECJ, different to the ECHR, the final say on any trade dispute.
It's quite clear that Northern Ireland will be still subject to EU law.
This isn't correct. Any party in Northern Ireland with 30 or more MLAs, member of Legislative Assembly, can apply what's being referred to as the Stormont breaks and turn around to the EU and say, we don't agree with that particular law. The UK and the EU would then get together and work it out. And that would only apply in about 3% of instances in which EU law applies in Northern Ireland. Pretty straightforward, really. Of course, in order to apply the Stormont brakes, you need to be in the car in the first place. And the DUP don't seem too keen on women drivers. Well, not this one anyway. This new deal, which essentially is like the old deal, but better, is being called the Windsor Agreement or the Windsor Framework. So called because the negotiations happened at Windsor, which just happened to be where King Charles is. Pretty savvy of Rishi this to get both loyalists and unionists on side. Loyalists as they obviously hold the monarchy in such high regard, and unionists due to the name King Charles, which is pretty synonymous with the name Oliver Cromwell, and what Cromwell did to the first Charles and what the second Charles did to Cromwell. I don't have time. Look it up. The agreement itself means that there will be different coloured lanes for goods coming from Britain to Northern Ireland. A green lane, which is anything coming from Britain to Northern Ireland, which has a few but not too many checks, while anything then going on to Republic of Ireland and effectively the EU will go via a red lane and have a great deal more checks. And also an orange lane for people wearing armed gloves and bowler hats. All the sets of checks are due to reduce over the next few years. Labour have said they'll support the deal and have called it a compromise, something which hasn't gone down well with the Foreign Secretary, James Stupidly.
The Leader of the Opposition is now saying that this is a compromise, what you're offering. Why is he wrong?
I mean, the Leader of the Opposition wouldn't understand, I think, how negotiations work, it seems.
What, like turning up to a meeting without so much as a pen or paper? Or not being able to answer a simple question?
Do they still have the power to scupper a deal?
That they will have real authority and say...
Do they still have the power to scupper a deal?
Well,
do they still have the power to scupper a deal?
Well, look, ultimately...
Do they still have the power to scupper a deal? Do they still have the power to scupper a deal?
Ultimately, what I want to do, and I know you're.
Do they still have the power to scupper a deal?
I want them to.
How many times do I have to ask you? I want you to tell me the answer. Do they still have the power to scupper a deal? The DUP.
They raised a number of concerns.
You won't answer my question about the DUP and whether they're still powerful enough.
So you'll recognise.
Technically, no, they can't scupper the deal, but we will want everyone on board and in agreement. There, not so hard, is it? By the way, the UK didn't get everything it wanted, and neither did the EU, making this a compromise, which is exactly what a good negotiation is. And just a reminder for those thinking that this means Rishi Sunak is a next-level genius, I give you Rishi Sunak trying to sell the deal while simultaneously making the case for remaining in the EU 7 years after the referendum.
Northern Ireland is in the unbelievably special position, unique position in the entire world, European continent, in having privileged access, not just to the UK home market, which is enormous, 5th biggest in the world, but also the European Union single market. Nobody else has that. No one.
So where are we now? Well, the deal doesn't need to go to a vote in the Houses of Parliament to be implemented. But to metaphorically and literally keep the peace, there probably will be one. Labour are going to support it, as will the rest of the House. The question just seems to be, what will the DUP and the ERG and indeed Boris Johnson do? Jacob Rees-Mogg appeared on his new show on GB News, that lighting's not doing him any favours, to suggest that a revolt may be in the air. We will definitely be talking more about this on Sunday's show. But for now, I leave you with the news that it looks like Jacob Rees-Mogg, Mark Francois, Jeffrey Donaldson, Boris Johnson and Sammy Wilson are all revolting. Take care.